Hi everyone, welcome to my booktube. My name is Caitlin. I hope that you'll stick around and I'm so glad that you're here. Today I'm going to be talking about my June and July wrap up. I know we're well into August, but I wanted to get this out before the end of summer so I could have something to look back on about what I read in this summer and this transitional summer for me. I'm starting a new job in just a week, so I'm really excited to see what my reading habits look like as I get in the swing of that. So for some stats, I read 13 books in June and July, read 6 books for a total of 2,710 pages. In July, I read 7 books for a total of 2,780 pages. Regardless of the month and the year, I read about 5 to 7 books a month. So yeah, I'm gonna get started with what I read in June. The first book I read in June was Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. This book follows about 5 different characters at different points in time, and it all follows how they are interconnected and how the gist of this story is how libraries can save the world and how they can change people. And I really, really loved that as an English teacher. I just felt like the message behind this book was so amazing. One of my favorite quotes from this book, and I'll read it to you, was, "How do men convince themselves that others must die so they might live?" I just felt like this book was really profound and really sent a really intense message about what it means to be human and what it means to owe other people different things. I gave this a 4.5 stars. It didn't make me cry, so I wasn't compelled to give it a 5 star. The next book I read in June was Mile High from the Windy City series. I'm actually reading this series for my best friend because she asked me to. This particular story I gave a 3.5, I believe. Yes, I gave it a 3.5. It was good. I'm not a huge fan of romances, which is gonna sound like a contradiction when you see the rest of my June and July wrap up, but I just don't find them as compelling. The only romance author that I find particularly compelling is Emily Henry. And so this just fell a little flat for me. I felt like the characters, their third act breakup was really annoying. And I was just cringing out most of this book. I know it's supposed to get better. I did read the second one. You'll see that later. But this one just didn't do it for me. Next book I read is a favorite of mine. I read Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. I just adore this book. It's about a woman with bipolar disorder and a man with OCD. And it's their love story and how they communicate. I find it to be really compelling and just... it really sits with you. I think about this book all the time since I read it 4 years ago, and I just really, truly love it. I highly recommend it. The writing in this is a bit pretentious, I will say that, but I find it enjoyable, so if you can get past that, then this is a really great read. The next book I read was The Hunger Games. I am rereading this probably for the first time since I was 12 years old, and it is not disappointing me. I rated this 4.5 stars. I just truly think Suzanne Collins can't do any wrong. I obviously tabbed it up. I really loved this, and I love reading it as an adult and seeing the commentary as an adult. I think it's so important and potent, and it just really makes a difference in what I do as a teacher and how I view the world. So I'm really excited to be reading these again. The book I read was I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I rated this 4 stars, but I feel like it's wrong to rate a memoir. It just doesn't feel right to rate someone's life story. But if I had to give it a rating, I would have given it 4 stars. I felt so deeply for Jeanette McCurdy, and I really felt like this book was so enlightening into the things that they were going through as a young child, like child stars are going through. And I really did love the memoir. It's probably one of my favorite memoirs I've ever read. I think it was really important to read and just really of the times, because we're seeing all these things come out about Nickelodeon and everything that these child stars went through. And so I feel like if you're interested in any of that, this would be a really great book to pick up. My last book of the month was Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. This was a 5-star read for me. It was incredible. I truly, like, the tagline of Toxic Lesbian Vampires is so the right tagline for this book. I found it to be a little slow at first. I was kind of dragging my feet to get through it in the beginning. It took me a little while to get through. But once I got to the halfway, maybe a little bit before the halfway point, I was like speeding through it. I was smooth sailing. It was so good, so thrilling and like attention grabbing. It really, really made me want to continue reading V.E. Schwab's other books. And those are all the books that I read in June. I didn't mention this before, but my average rating for June was a 4.42. And so going into this, I just want to preface with I really only read books that I think I'm going to like. So that might seem like a high rating, but I don't pick up a book if I don't think I'm going to like it. Odds are, if I'm picking up a book that I don't think I'll like, it's for book club. So all of my ratings are going to tend to be pretty high. My average rating for July was a 4.36. So I'm really excited to get into those books with you. Here are the books I read in July. I'm going to go through these chronologically just like I did in June. Starting off, I read Sandwich by Catherine Newman. I gave this a 4-star. This is told in a very interesting way because it's about a mother going through menopause, going on vacation to Cape Cod with her children. And I just found it to be really compelling because it was nice to hear about a mother that actually enjoyed being a mother. I feel like nowadays everyone talks about like how much they don't want to have kids and how they hate being a parent. And so it felt really refreshing to hear the perspective of someone that enjoyed being a parent, fictional or not. So I enjoyed this book. Read Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. This is her debut adult fantasy novel, and I really enjoyed this. It's about this kingdom, so to speak. At the age of 10, the prince gets a sword catcher or someone who will body double him to protect him at all costs. So this follows the sword catcher, the prince, and then 2 other unlikely friends that you will meet later on in the novel. I found this novel to be really fun. It is quite slowly paced, but I will be reading the second one when the soft cover comes out in October. I'm really excited for this. Then I continued on my Hunger Games journey with Catching Fire. I rated this 5 stars, as you could imagine. Catching Fire was so incredible. I truly, obviously, like everyone knows what Catching Fire is about, but it follows Katniss and Peeta as they go through the Quarter Quell. It was just so crazy to read it as an adult because I don't even think I read this as a teenager. I think I only read the Hunger Games. So I'm really glad I picked this up, and I'm really looking forward to get to Mockingjay. And I read Great Big Beautiful Life, and oh my goodness, I truly want to put this book in a shrine. This has to be my second favorite Emily Henry book besides Funny Story. I loved this. I loved the premise of it. I loved the storyline, the multiple storylines. I loved the romance. I thought in the beginning that the main male character was kind of an a-hole, and I didn't really like that, but he grew on me. I really loved this book. 5 stars. I feel like Emily Henry could do no wrong. I could truly read her grocery list and give it 5 stars. So take my biased opinion as you wish, but I loved this book. I highly, highly recommend. Then I read My Friends by Frederick Bachman. If you see the tabs on my book, you can clearly tell that this is a 5-star. I loved this book. This has made me want to read all of his other books. I truly don't know what I expected going into this, but it was so amazing and truly just so fun. Like the whole storyline, the whole premise of this novel was so fun, and I really loved reading it, and I truly can't wait to read more of his works. Then I continued in the Windy City series with The Right Move. This was okay. I gave it a 4-star. Wasn't mind-boggling. Definitely better than the first book, which I appreciated. I'm not sure I'm going to continue the series, but it was a good romance. It was fine. It was fun. Lastly, I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is for my book club. This is controversial. I did not like this book that much. I felt like the main character that we were following the whole time, Evelyn, I couldn't root for her and I didn't want to. And so I gave this 3.5 stars. I think if there were other aspects played into this book, like with the other main character, or maybe Evelyn had a redemption arc, and I know maybe she's not supposed to, maybe she's supposed to be unlikable, but to me, that just like drew me out of the story, and so I didn't really like it. 3.5 stars. That is my June and July wrap up. Thank you so much for watching and coming along with me. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what you're currently finishing up on your August TBR. I'd love to see what you're reading. And I hope you'll stick around for the next one. Bye. What am I doing with my hands? What am I doing with my hands? My cat is eating the cardboard box from Amazon. Can you stop?